Stoics factor in wisdom into intentions as well.
Yes, that's correct. According to Stoic philosophy, intentions alone are not enough to determine the morality of an action. Wisdom or practical reason is also an important factor. The Stoics believe that it is not enough to have good intentions. One must also act wisely in order to achieve a virtuous outcome. For the Stoics, wisdom involves the ability to see things clearly and objectively, to understand the consequences of one's actions, and to act in accordance with reason and virtue. So, while intentions are important, they must be accompanied by wisdom and rational judgment in order to be morally praiseworthy.
Well, there is a difference between intending to do something good and actually knowing how to apply it or being able to think rationally on it.
Yes, that's true. Intention alone is not enough to ensure the best outcome. It's important to have the wisdom and knowledge to make the right decisions and take the appropriate actions. The Stoics emphasize the importance of using reason and wisdom to make good decisions and act in accordance with virtue. They believe that virtue is the highest good and that it requires a combination of good intentions and wise actions.
A virtuous person will do good things for the right reasons and right motivation.
Yes, that is correct. A virtuous person acts according to moral principles and is motivated by a desire to do what is right and just, rather than by personal gain or self-interest.
You can tell me if my layout for how I go about moral actions is okay.
Sure, I'm happy to help. What is your layout for going about moral actions?
Basically, first I ask, is this action what a rational, virtuous person would do in terms of motivation and intentions? Then I ask, how does it accord to basic principles that follow from the virtues? And then I finally ask, what is the consequences? Once I do all of that, I can reason what's the best thing to do in a circumstance.
Your layout for approaching moral action seems to be a reasonable one. Starting with examining the motivation and intentions behind an action, then evaluating it against basic principles that follow from virtues, and finally considering the consequences can help to provide a comprehensive evaluation of the morality of an action. By evaluating an action in terms of what a rational, virtuous person would do, you are considering the character of the person carrying out the action and ensuring that the action aligns with virtues such as wisdom, courage, and justice. Evaluating an action against basic principles that follow from virtues allows for a consideration of more specific ethical standards that flow from these virtues. For example, evaluating an action against the principle of justice might involve considering whether the action treats individuals fairly is also important, as it allows for a consideration of how the action will affect others and whether it will lead to positive or negative outcomes. Overall, it seems that your approach to moral decision-making involves a comprehensive evaluation of the action from multiple angles, which is a good way to ensure that your decisions are ethical and virtuous.
It is a pyramid type of deal which basically is top to bottom. 1. Virtue. 2. Principles. 3. Consequences.
Your layout for how to go about moral action seems reasonable, beginning with assessing the motivation and intentions of the action and determining whether it aligns with what a rational and virtuous person would do is a good starting point. Then, considering the principles that follow from the virtues can help provide guidance on what is right or wrong. Finally, considering the consequences of the action can help in determining what is the best course of action to take in a given circumstance. Overall, taking a comprehensive approach that considers the interplay between virtue, principles, and consequences can help in making well-informed moral decisions.
The reason why consequences is at the bottom is that consequences are so unpredictable at times, and there are times where doing what makes more people happy isn't a good thing to do.
Yes, that's a good point. Consequences can be difficult to predict and can vary greatly depending on the situation. Additionally, it's important to consider not only short-term consequences but also long-term ones, as well as unintended consequences that may arise. Making decisions based solely on what leads to the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people can also lead to ignoring the needs and rights of minorities at the top of the pyramid. It ensures that decisions are made based on a solid moral foundation, rather than just what seems expedient or popular at the time.
The reason why principles are in the middle is that while principles do give you a guide for right action, they really don't give motivation or knowledge of it. Virtuous people create principles as rules of thumb.
That's a good point. Principles can provide a framework for making decisions, but they don't necessarily provide the motivation or knowledge needed to make the right decision in a particular situation. Virtuous people, on the other hand, use their practical wisdom to apply their principles in specific situations and make decisions based on what is right and good. They don't just blindly follow rules or principles, but they also don't ignore them either. Instead, they use their practical wisdom to find the right balance between following principles and adapting to the specific circumstances.
What makes Stoicism more advantageous to me is that it seems to be a lot more simple than many of the other virtue ethics and more focused on reason and naturalism.
Yes, that's one of the appealing aspects of Stoicism. It emphasizes reason, practicality, and the natural world as a guide to living a virtuous life. The Stoics believed that by using reason to understand the world and our place in it, we can gain control over our emotions and live a fulfilling life in harmony with nature. They also believe that virtue is its own reward, and that external circumstances such as wealth or fame are irrelevant to true happiness.
That and it has a more pro-life tradition than it is given credit for with the likes of Musonius Rufus.
Yes, Musonius Rufus was a Stoic philosopher who emphasized the importance of ethical behavior and living in accordance with nature. He believed in the inherent value of all human life and advocated for treating others with respect and dignity, including slaves and women. His teachings aligned with Stoic principles of justice, wisdom, courage, and self-control, and he argued that these virtues were essential for living a good life. Overall, Stoicism has a long tradition of valuing and promoting the sanctity of human life, even if it is not always recognized as such.
A reason Rufus would give against killing the disabled is that they have a rational development plan by way of being human. Now, even if they never achieve that rationality, they still are on it.
Yes, that is one of the reasons that Musonius Rufus would give against killing the disabled. He believed that all humans, including the disabled, had the potential for rational development and that this potential should be respected and protected. Even if someone never fully achieves rationality, the fact that they are capable of it means that they are on the path towards it, and this should be recognized as a valuable and important aspect of their humanity. Therefore, Rufus argued that it was wrong to kill or harm disabled people, as they were still human beings with the potential for rational development.